Hello class, and welcome to Lecture 3 in the course Human Development Theory and Practice. In today's lecture, we will be exploring genetics and neurological development in prenatal development. In this session, we will delve into the fascinating world of how genetics influence the intricate process of neurological development during the prenatal period. This topic is crucial in understanding the foundation of human life and the complex interactions that shape our brains before birth. So, let's embark on this journey to uncover the secrets of prenatal genetics and neurological growth. To begin with, what we will explore is a little bit of an introduction to prenatal development, and here we will kind of give you a bit of a sense of what prenatal development is and what the essential stages are as far as germinal, embryonic, and fetal. We will then explore the genetic foundations of prenatal development, looking at DNA and genes and chromosomes and a bit of an overview. We'll also take a look at heredity and dominant recessive traits and genetic variability and some of the implications of genetic variability. We'll then explore fertilization and early embryonic development, taking a look at the formation of eggs and sperm and fertilization with the union of the gametes and the formation of a zygote, and continue on then with the interesting topic of neural tube formation and early brain development. Here we look at the formation of what we call the neural plate that transforms into a neural tube that then develops with the neural crest of cells that forms our brains and the various parts of our brain. We'll then take a look at neurogenesis and cell migration and how the brain grows its various cells and how it begins to form the rudimentary parts of cortical layers and neural circuits that form the brain of a newborn. And we will then finally end with the prenatal neurological milestones, what happens at the various stages of prenatal development. When does the brain stem form, for example, and basic reflexes start to engage? When does the emergence of sensations like touch and taste and smell and hearing and vision come about, as well as exploration of some implications around the cerebral cortex and the higher order cognitive functions that take place. And we'll also explore a little bit of how experience plays a significant role in this process. So, let's begin by delving in a little bit into this whole experience. And I want to start off, as we usually do, by exploring various things. And one of the things that I want to kind of highlight here is give you a sense of the importance of genetics in prenatal development and how it impacts the lives of people. So we're going to start off with Emily. Emily was born in 2010 in a small town in the United States. And from the very beginning, her parents knew that she was very special. However, it wasn't until later that they discovered the unique genetic challenges that would shape her life. Now, very early on in her life, actually, in her first year, her parents noticed that she wasn't reaching developmental milestones as quickly as other children her age. Her pediatrician conducted a series of tests and referred her to a genetic specialist. After a thorough evaluation, Emily was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder known as Rett syndrome. And within this, we see a bit of the genetic foundation of a person and its impact, because Rett syndrome is caused by a mutation to a specific gene that affects brain development, resulting in severe cognitive and physical impairments. And Emily's family learned that this genetic condition would require lifelong care and support. And so there were some obvious daily struggles as well as some triumphs. So throughout her childhood, Emily faced these challenges, knowing nothing different. She had, of course, difficulty with motor skills. She lost her ability to speak and experienced frequent seizures. Despite these obstacles, Emily's spirit remained strong, and with the support of her family and her medical team, she gradually developed alternate ways of communicating, using gestures and eye movements to express herself. Then there were some medical advances and some therapies that weren't the end-all and be-all, but they did help, and at least they tried to help. So over the years, Emily's parents tirelessly researched and sought the very latest medical advancements and therapies to improve the quality of her life. They participated in clinical trials, connected with support groups, and collaborated with specialists who tailored treatments for Emily's unique needs. And part of this was an educational journey. Just teaching her anything really required that Emily's life be adaptive. Her family worked closely with educators to create individual education plans, to help her to communicate better, to help her to develop her strengths. But despite these challenges, Emily's determination really shone through, and she really kind of developed a real interest for art and for music. And there was a lot of community support. You have this young little girl growing up and struggling, and so there were a lot of demands upon the family. So there was the community rallied around, and there was a local fundraiser and awareness campaign organizing to support for her medical needs and raise awareness about Rett syndrome. And Emily's courage in this process and her family engaging in this process too, they all found comfort in all of the support that they got from that community. But there were still some very significant challenges. So, at the age of 13 years old, Emily died due to some complications. Her life, though, was a legacy of infectious laughter and artwork and an indomitable spirit, despite the genetic challenges that she had. And it just reminds us of the resilience and strength that children with genetic conditions demonstrate every day. And it really underscores the importance of genetic research, of medical advancements, and of finding support for people that are struggling and facing genetic challenges. So I want to kind of just walk through the kinds of things that we will be exploring in today's lecture. First, we will explore defining a little bit of prenatal development. We can kind of think of prenatal development as that remarkable process of growth and maturation that occurs within an embryo or fetus before birth. It encompasses a series of complex and tightly orchestrated events that lay the foundation for a person's future physical, physiological, and neurological characteristics. And oftentimes we don't think about this as being part of the history of the person, but in fact it is an extremely crucial part of the history of a person and how a person functions. And so we need to be mindful of it. Prenatal development is really crucial because it sets the stage for an individual's overall health, their cognitive abilities, and even their susceptibility to certain diseases later in life. So understanding this process allows us to appreciate the intricate dance that all of us experience between genetics and environment and biology, all these things that shape our lives each and every day. And then, of course, we'll take a look at the stages of prenatal development. The germinal stage, the embryonic stage, and the fetal stage. Prenatal development, of course, is divided up into these distinct stages. We have that germinal phase, which is the first few weeks, where it begins with conception when the sperm fertilizes the egg, resulting in the formation of the zygote. Then we have the embryonic stage, and the embryonic stage is a period of rapid development, roughly from the weeks 3 to week 8. The blastocyte differentiates into 3 layers: the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm, and these layers give rise to different organs and tissues. And so critical organ systems, including the nervous system, the heart, and limbs, begin to form at this stage. Then we have the fetal stage from week 9 through to birth. And during the fetal stage, the focus shifts from organ development to growth and refinement. And within this, we also have the genetic foundations. We have DNA and chromosomes. DNA, located within the nucleus of the cells, contains the genetic instructions that govern our traits and characteristics. Genes are specific segments of DNA that encode information for producing proteins and influencing various biological processes. And chromosomes are structures composed of DNA and proteins that carry genes. Humans have 46 chromosomes arranged in 23 pairs. And then, of course, there's the issues of heredity and inheritance, dominant and recessive genes. Genetic traits are inherited through a combination of dominant and recessive alleles. Dominant traits only require 1 copy of the gene to be expressed, while recessive traits require 2 copies. For example, if a child inherits a dominant allele for brown eyes from one parent and a recessive allele for blue eyes from the other, the child will have brown eyes. Then, of course, there's genetic variability and implications of that. And genetic variability arises from the assortment of genes inherited from the parents, as well as the occasional mutation. And this diversity is essential for adaptation to changing environments and contributes to the rich tapestry of human traits. However, genetic variability can also lead to the expression of genetic disorders, highlighting the importance of understanding and managing genetic risk factors. We'll also explore a little bit of fertilization and early embryonic development. Gametogenesis is the formation of eggs and sperm, so it's the process by which the specialized reproduction cells, known as gametes, are produced. So in males, spermatogenesis leads to the formation of sperm, while in females, oogenesis results in the formation of eggs. And these gametes carry half of the genetic material required for each new individual. And then, of course, you have fertilization, the union of the gametes, and formation of the zygote. So the fertilization occurs when the sperm cell penetrates the egg cell, leading to the formation of the zygote. The zygote possesses a complete set of chromosomes, with half from the mother and half from the father. Then we have the blastocyte formation and implantation. So following fertilization, the zygote undergoes rapid cell division to become a blastocyte. The blastocyst then attaches itself to the uterine lining in a process called implantation. And this marks the beginning of the embryonic stage and sets the stage for subsequent neural development. Now, following that, one of the most important things that we need to kind of be mindful of is something known as neural tube formation. This lays the foundation for the flat structure known as formation of the brain. So it begins with, at the very early part of embryonic development, a flat structure known as the neural plate forms. And this structure then folds and fuses to create a neural tube, which then gives rise to the brain and spinal cord. So if there's any disruption in the formation of the flat plate or the curvature and folding and enclosing of that plate, then there is disruption in the formation of the brain or spinal cord. And that then we also need to kind of be mindful of the formation of the neural cells and the brain vesicles. We need to be mindful of the neurogenesis, the process by which the body produces new neurons. Glial cells, supportive cells of the nervous system, also develop alongside these neurons and play a vital role in maintaining neuronal health and function. And then, of course, we need to be mindful of the prenatal neurological milestones. For example, the development of the brainstem and basic reflexes. Now, the brainstem, which is considered the oldest and most primitive part of the brain, controls essential functions such as breathing, the heartbeat, and reflexes. Basic reflexes like the grasp reflex and the sucking reflex really emerge early in prenatal development, and that's why at times you will see ultrasounds of prenatal fetus sucking their thumb, because there is already that reflex that is there in the brain. Then there's also the emergence of sensory systems. So we'll take a look at the prenatal development and how the sensory systems gradually emerge, how neuronal connections form, enabling the developing fetus to sense touch, taste, smell, hearing, and even light stimuli. And these sensory experiences contribute then to the fetus's interaction with its environment. And oftentimes we don't think about a fetus as having an environment, but it certainly does, not only within the mother's womb, but what the mother is experiencing in the world around the mother. And then, of course, there is the issues of maturation of the cerebral cortex and higher order cognitive functions. So the cerebral cortex, which is responsible for higher order cognitive functions, such as reasoning and problem solving and language, undergoes a prolonged maturation process during prenatal development. And connections between different regions of the brain continue to develop, setting the stage for the intricate cognitive abilities that will develop later in life. And as we delve deeper into these aspects of prenatal development, we gain a profound appreciation for the complexity and marvel of the genetic and neurological processes that shape the foundation of human life before birth. And each stage and mechanism contributes to the intricate tapestry of human development, laying the groundwork for a remarkable journey of growth and potential. So, let's explore a little bit of the basics of prenatal development and then delve in a little bit deeper into various aspects. So prenatal development really is a captivating tale of growth and adaptation and potential. It's an intricately choreographed dance that's guided by genetics and environment and biology. And so we'll delve into the significance and the stages of prenatal development and hopefully shed some light on the incredible transformations that occur within the womb. So let's start off with a little bit of definition of prenatal development. So prenatal development really encapsulates the remarkable process of growth and maturation that unfolds within an embryo or fetus before birth. It is that meticulously orchestrated symphony of events shaping the blueprint for an individual's future physical attributes, physiological functions, and even neurological capacities. And this journey is not just a simple prelude to birth, but an intricate dance of genetic inheritance, environmental influences, and biological intricacies. The importance of prenatal development really can't be overstated because it lays the foundation for an individual's overall well-being, their cognitive potential, and their vulnerability to certain diseases throughout life. So as we unravel this narrative of development, I hope you really appreciate the mastery and mystery of it all. But before we get into the stages, I do want to talk a little bit about the history of understanding understanding prenatal development. Because all throughout history, there's been some thought and some effort to shed some light onto the stages that shape human life before birth. Now, back in ancient times, historical records from civilizations such as Egypt and Greece really reveal a fascination with the origins of life. And philosophers and thinkers like Hippocrates and Aristotle did ponder the origins of embryos and the unfolding of life within the womb, but there was really very little ways to discover really what was going on. And so when we have the Renaissance, in that period of curiosity and inquiry, we have pioneering thinkers like Leonardo da Vinci who made anatomical sketches, providing a glimpse into fetal development. Yet the emergence of embryology as a formal scientific discipline really had to wait for the technological and methodological advances of the modern era. And then we can fast forward to the late 18th century and people like Caspar Wolff, who was a German embryologist who made a significant contribution by proposing the germ layer theory. And his observation of chick embryos led him to propose that there are three primary germ layers: the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm, which were the foundation for the development of various tissues of organs. And Wolff's ideas really kind of has laid the groundwork for understanding the embryonic stage of prenatal development. And it's interesting how looking at the formation of chicks and eggs gives us insight into what is going on in the formation of a human fetus and child. And then we have Wilhelm Hess from the 19th century, who was a Swiss anatomist, and he meticulously detailed the observations of human embryos and led to the creation of the Carnegie stages, which was a standardized system for categorizing human prenatal development based on external and internal features. And his classification provided a comprehensive framework for researchers worldwide to document and compare the stages of embryonic development. And then we have Hans Spemann in the early 20th century, who introduced another milestone. And Spemann was a German embryologist, and Spemann's experiments with amphibian embryos revealed the concept of organizers. That is, that there's specific regions that influence nearby cells to develop into particular structures. And his groundbreaking research laid the foundation for understanding how cellular interactions guide the formation of organs during embryogenesis. So there's a lot of interesting work that has gone on. And then finally, in really kind of the more modern era, when we have access to advanced imagery technology, access to genetics studies and molecular biology, which really kind of propelled our understanding of prenatal development And some certain researchers, for example, Louis Wolpert and Eric Weishaupt and Christian Nuslin-Volhard, have all delved into the genetic and molecular mechanisms underlying embryonic patterns in morphogenesis. So, just to kind of delve in a little bit more to prenatal development, as we've already mentioned, researchers taking a look at chicks, so Wilhelm His, as well as Caspar Wolff, particularly Caspar Wolff is what will, and his work really kind of gives us a sense of the different stages. So we have the germinal stage of prenatal development, that first week or two, and that really commences at conception, the joining of the sperm and the egg to form the zygote. And this single cell embarks on that extraordinary journey of rapid division, culminating in the formation of the blastocyst, which is a hollow sphere of cells. And during this stage, the blastocyst adheres to that uterine wall and that wondrous process known as implantation. And the very beginning there of that journey of the sheer tenacity of life's creation kind of begins there. And then we have the embryonic stage from weeks 3 through to 8. And here we have that stage where we have real rapid development. The blastocyst begins to differentiate into 3 primary layers: the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. If you recall from the historical researchers identifying this stage in chick eggs. And from these layers sprout those building blocks of life, our organs, our tissues, and the structures that form the individual. And the vital organs, including the heart and the nervous system and limbs, begin to take shape during this transformative period between weeks 3 to 8. And by the conclusion of this stage, this embryonic stage, the embryo has grown to about an inch in length. Very small, but there's discernible features that foreshadow the beginning of the person that this will become. And then we have the fetal stage, and the fetal stage begins at the end of the first trimester, so around week 9, and sorry, not the end of the first trimester, but around week 9. And here we have that journey of that fetal stage where there's a period of growth and refinement. And so you have the maturation of the organ systems that were first established in that embryonic phase, and the fetus undergoes a remarkable surge in size and weight as it prepares for life outside of the womb. And it's here that neural connections begin within the brain and start to strengthen the development of senses such as taste and touch and hearing and vision. And by the culmination of this stage, the fetus stands ready to be born and to move off into the external world. So that gives us a little bit of a sense of this wonderful, intricate journey that takes place within an infant. And we're going to pause there and take a bit of a break. And when we come back, we will explore the various aspects of the genetic development and formation of neural tubes and neurogenesis and the prenatal neurological milestones. So I'll see you back here for the second part of our lecture in just a little while. You take care. Goodbye.